It's always hard to tell when a highly touted college player will translate to immense success in the NBA. It truly is a gamble, like going up to talk to a cutie after you just ate some food with a lot of garlic. Take a look at some big centers who have been drafted high over the years. Some have worked out, like DeAndre Ayton and Zion Williamson, but some didn't work out so well, such as Andrea Bargnani, and of course the Knicks traded for him, and Darko Milicic. Or players who didn't play many games in college, like Kyrie Irving. He only played 11 games at Duke. There were many question marks surrounding him, on top of being plagued with injuries, but some people just knew he was going to be a big talent. Also, when Jay Williams came out on draft night with this white-on-white suit ensemble, the Chicago Bulls didn't expect his career to never lift off. Or Adam Morrison, who on draft night looked like a rock star, confused as to how he should wear and look in a suit, in a long list of ballers who were amazing collegiate stars, catapulted their fame while playing above and beyond in the NCAA tournament, who only ended up being really big disappointments right after they were drafted. Will James Wiseman fall into the Kyrie and Zion mantle? Or will he be another guy with a lot of potential and major buzz, only to disappoint? My guess, he will be a hard man to stop in the NBA. But before we jump in, please remember that if you've enjoyed the video thus far and can't wait to see why James Wiseman, with hard work, will be able to dominate the center position and will be impossible to guard in the NBA, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons and make sure to tell your friends and family about the journey we are about to embark on. Now, let's dive in a bit deeper. Shaquille O'Neal, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, Hakeem Olajuwon, Yao Ming, and Patrick Ewing. That's a list of the NBA's greatest centers. All of those guys were very dominant players and were a very big problem on both ends of the court. But there are two glaring skill sets that all of those legendary centers mentioned lacked: the three ball and handling. And that is where James Wiseman can improve to the level of those greats if he is put into a system that works best for him. James Wiseman is a center who played with the Memphis Tigers. The young man has the body of a grown NBA star. He is a staggering 7 foot 1 inch, 245-pound young man who is projected to be a top 5 lottery pick in this year's NBA draft lottery. Surprisingly to the average fan, Wiseman still remains a likely top 5 pick, despite a general lack of enthusiasm surrounding him after playing just 3 games at Memphis. Now, this doesn't always scream to avoid a player, but it also doesn't come without its risks. In his 3 games with Memphis, he was decent, but not mind-blowing enough to be pushed to the top of an NBA draft board. Also, it's hard to know how seriously to take tiny sample sizes, particularly with young freshmen who are still getting acclimated to their surroundings. Also, the center position isn't what it used to be in the NBA. The legendary centers named earlier would have a lot of problems in the current NBA with the way the game has evolved. Unless you have a specific set of specialized skills, you will not be able to survive in the modern-day NBA with just brute force and a hook shot. Only a handful of those older centers can probably survive in today's diverse league just because of their strength and dominance, but that's a topic for another day. Because of what the center position has evolved to, it also raises legitimate questions about how high Wiseman should actually be drafted. However, 7-footers with his body type just don't grow on trees. Otherwise, every team would have one. Plus, his dominant size makes him potentially into a defensive juggernaut around the basket and should make him impactful hitting the boards and as a finisher. To give a little more perspective, other talents with his skill set and size are Zion Williamson, Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, DeAndre Ayton. That's a pretty good list of players to be involved with. Like any young, raw talent, Wiseman will have to continue making progress as an all-around offensive player, particularly the development of his jumper. Because again, no matter what you play or your size, you need to have an effective outside shot to keep the defense honest, to maximize his talent. Now let's answer the question, is James Wiseman going to be unstoppable to guard in the NBA? Well, maybe. The first thing Wiseman has is agility, mobility, and athleticism, giving his 7 foot, 250-pound frame and 7'5" wingspan. He's also an elite alley-oop target and rim runner that consistently beats his defenders down the floor during a fast break. So with the right squad, there aren't many players in the NBA that will be able to contest him successfully at the rim. And Wiseman likes to play bully ball. I know that isn't as popular in the NBA these days with all of the skilled players, but there is a need for that, and if he can utilize in conjunction with his skills, he will be scary. Like I mentioned, he's a physical monument. He stands over 7 feet and has the perfect physique for the modern NBA big man. He has shown flashes of an expanded jump shot, and he's also a fairly mobile athlete. I've seen videos of him working out and playing pickup games lately, and right now, I can tell that he is improving his game a ton. If I were a team who was in need of an athletic big man who can spread the floor and rebound, I'd draft him. However, the NBA is all about fit. Look at the San Antonio Spurs, for example. They never have big-name players, except Tim Duncan coming out of college, yet they find a way to utilize the players' talents to suit themselves and the team. See the fun guy, Kawhi Leonard, to their maximum potential. And with that said, I think he can turn into a stud with the right organization. He might not be the number one option on a playoff contender, but as an ultra-talented role man and athletic driver, and there's a lot to love about Wiseman. Again, with the right team, and if he buys into the system, Wiseman could be a strong addition for any team to build from the ground up. So let's ask again, is James Wiseman going to be impossible to guard in the NBA? Well, we now know Wiseman only played 3 games in college, so there isn't a lot of tape on him, but he has the intangibles along with his monstrous physique of wide shoulders, Inspector Gadget-type arms, developing strength, and finishing ability. Honestly, if you look throughout the history of teams looking for a great center, teams would have only dreamed about finding a 7-footer with this kind of physical profile. Remember how Shaq turned out? He could be the next, more evolved Shaq. Betting on speculation isn't always a bad thing. Look at Michael Porter Jr., who barely played a handful of games in college because he was riddled with big injuries, just like Wiseman. He turned out to be an amazing addition to an already deep Denver squad. Wiseman remains a great prospect, and yes, quite simply, he will be very hard to stop in the National Basketball Association.